Welcome to the channel that specializes in updating the hottest developments, in-depth analysis, and the most dramatic predictions about the hit series The Young and the Restless. And today, we invite you to join us in a new chapter in the never-ending battle between two symbols of power, Victor and Jack, starting with the departure of a seemingly unimportant person, Michael. Michael's sudden resignation shocked Genoa City, but few expected that this seemingly personal and discreet event was the beginning of a new storm of power, swirling deep into every corner of the upper-class world that Victor and Jack have long dominated. Michael, a loyal friend, a sharp lawyer, a silent warrior who has always stood behind Victor in the most fierce legal and political battles, suddenly chose to retreat, and the reason did not come from himself, but from the only woman who made him step back, Lauren. Lauren is more than just a wife. She sees more clearly than anyone else the gradual change in Michael, from a man of integrity and idealism to a shadowy figure in Victor's power game. The sleepless nights, the collapses from exhaustion, the heated debates between morality and loyalty, all push Lauren to her limits. And finally, she gives him an ultimatum: Michael must choose. There is no room for both, Victor or family. Michael chooses family, but the decision does not come without consequences. For Victor, Michael's withdrawal is nothing less than a betrayal. The person he trusted almost completely, the person he believed would never turn his back on him, chooses to step in at the most crucial moment. When Victor is preparing a series of new strategies to consolidate his influence in Newman Enterprises and manipulate some seats on the Jabot board of directors. Losing Michael was not just losing an advisor, it was also a serious flaw in his power structure. And what hurt Victor the most was Nikki's reaction. Instead of siding with her husband, Nikki sympathized with Lauren and Michael. She understood the anxiety of a wife when she saw her husband increasingly exhausted by Victor's endless game. Nikki even spoke publicly that she thought Michael had done the right thing by choosing to withdraw. Those words echoed throughout the large house like a slap to Victor's pride, which had always been obsessed with control and loyalty. He began to look at Nikki with suspicion, and worse, his heart began to crack, the kind of crack that someone like Jack always knew how to exploit. Jack did not delay. He clearly saw the anger and hurt rising in Victor's heart. Without Michael by his side, Victor was like a ferocious beast that had just lost its sharpest fang. And with the instinct of a longtime rival, Jack knew that this was the golden moment to strike. But this time, he did not attack Victor with direct blows on the market. He chose a more insidious tactic. Slow, deep, and personal to the point that Victor could not have anticipated. Jack approached Nikki gently. No rush, no clear calculation. Just chance meetings, intimate conversations about the past, memories of the good times when they were lovers. Nikki, exhausted by the endless arguments with Victor, in the loneliness that lasted in the cold house despite the lights, began to find comfort in Jack. He was not only the one who had loved her passionately, but also the only one at this time who was not demanding, not critical, not controlling. The once broken relationship began to be mended with gentle glances and seemingly accidental touches. Victor was not blind. He could feel the distance growing between him and Nikki. He saw the tenderness in Nikki's eyes that she no longer had for him. He heard the whispered phone calls that ended hastily when he entered the room. And he knew that something was going on, something he couldn't quite grasp but couldn't ignore. Meanwhile, Jack was steadily strengthening his position at Jabot. He was skillfully pushing Victor's close associates out of the board's circle of influence, while luring neutral figures to his side with enticing promises. With Kyle behind him strategically, and Billy assisting on the media front, Jack seemed to be building a solid position that Victor would not easily break. Victor, attacked both at home and on the front lines, begins to act with familiar coldness. He sends Adam to investigate all of Nikki's current connections, following every little clue to confirm the suspicion that haunts him every night. But that very action pushes him further away from Nikki when she discovers that her husband has had her followed and investigated as a suspect, rather than as a wife. Nikki's hurt turns to anger. She no longer seeks reasons to hold on to a marriage that is filled with control and suspicion. She reaches out to Jack more openly, without hiding it, as a silent challenge to Victor. And in that very moment, the battle between Victor and Jack is no longer a power struggle, but a battle for the heart of the woman who was once the center of the two most powerful men in Genoa City. There will be no real winners in this war. But every step, every plot, every betrayal, every jealous glance, all are drawing a new chapter darker, more complicated and more tragic in the history of confrontation between Victor and Jack. And Genoa City, once again, becomes the battlefield where love, loyalty, honor and ambition collide fiercely like irreparable fragments. But is this war coming to an end? Or is this just the prelude to a more fierce rebirth, when Victor begins to strike back in a way that only he is ruthless enough to do? To not miss any exciting developments in the historic confrontation between Victor and Jack, as well as the dramatic stories revolving around the characters at Genoa City, continue to follow and subscribe to our channel today. We will continue to update you with in-depth analysis, exclusive speculations, and the most surprising twists, only here. Thanks for joining us.